The cold metal walls of the research station hummed with a quiet desperation. Dr. Una Park stood motionless, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling patterns of the distant nebula outside the reinforced observation window. Humanity was dying, and nobody seemed to fully understand why. 3 years earlier, scientists had discovered a mysterious genetic cascade that was slowly unraveling human DNA. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't radiation. It was something far more complex and terrifying, a systematic breakdown of human cellular integrity that no medical technology could explain. Populations across Earth were experiencing accelerated cellular decay. People were aging decades within months. Children were born with genetic structures that began deteriorating immediately after birth. The world's top researchers worked frantically, but solutions remained elusive. Una's team at the Interstellar Medical Research Center had been tracking the phenomenon. They had collected thousands of genetic samples, run countless simulations, and still came up empty. Each failed experiment pushed humanity closer to extinction. Her colleague Jae Kim walked into the observation room, his footsteps echoing against the sterile floor. He carried a series of digital reports, his face showing the exhaustion of continuous research. "Any progress?" Una asked, not turning from the window. Jae sighed. "Nothing concrete. Our latest genetic repair attempts failed again. The cellular breakdown continues to outpace our interventions." The research center was humanity's last hope. Governments worldwide had pooled resources, creating this isolated facility designed to solve the impossible. Situated in a remote location with advanced technological infrastructure, it represented humanity's final stand against a threat that threatened to erase their entire species. Una understood the stakes. If they didn't find a solution within the next 18 months, human population would drop below sustainable levels. Civilization would collapse. The dream of interstellar exploration would vanish. Her mind wandered to the data they had collected. Thousands of genetic profiles showed a consistent pattern. Something was systematically destroying human cellular structures from within. No external cause had been identified. No environmental factor explained the phenomenon. "We're missing something," she murmured, more to herself than to Jae. The research complex was a marvel of human engineering. Multiple laboratories, each dedicated to a specific aspect of genetic research, housed some of the most advanced equipment ever created. Quantum sequencers, molecular reconstructors, and AI-driven analysis systems worked continuously. Jae approached a holographic display, manipulating genetic sequences with practiced movements. Complex molecular structures danced and shifted under his touch, revealing intricate patterns that hinted at deeper mysteries. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a particular sequence. "There's a subtle repetition here that doesn't match any known genetic algorithm." Una moved closer, her scientific curiosity overshadowing her fatigue. Something about the sequence felt different. Not random, but deliberately constructed. As if some unknown mechanism was systematically rewriting human genetic code. Outside, the research station's external sensors continued monitoring global population data. Each passing hour brought more grim statistics. Birth rates plummeting. Life expectancies shrinking. Entire communities facing genetic collapse. Humanity stood at the edge of an evolutionary cliff, with no clear path forward. Their technological achievements, their dreams of exploring distant stars, everything hung in delicate balance. Una knew they were racing against time. Every moment counted. Every experiment, every hypothesis could potentially unlock the key to human survival. Little did she realize that their desperate search would soon reveal something extraordinary, a solution that would not just save humanity, but transform it completely. The first chapter of humanity's greatest challenge was about to begin. The laboratory buzzed with an electric tension. Una's hands moved carefully, connecting microscopic nanocircuits into a complex genetic reconstruction matrix. What started as a random experimental trial was about to change everything humanity knew about biological limits. For weeks, her team had been exploring an unconventional approach. Instead of trying to repair damaged genetic structures, they would create adaptive nanomachines capable of complete cellular regeneration.
Most scientists considered the concept impossible. Yuna believed differently.
Her latest prototype looked deceptively simple, a tiny silvery liquid containing microscopic technological components smaller than human blood cells. Initial computer simulations suggested remarkable potential, but simulations often differed from real-world results. The first test subject was a critically ill volunteer named Daniel Park, who had nothing left to lose. His body was already showing advanced genetic deterioration.
Traditional treatments had failed. This experimental procedure represented his final hope.
When the nanosolution entered Daniel's bloodstream, nothing seemed to happen initially.
Monitoring equipment tracked his vital signs.
His cellular structures continued their steady decline. Then, something unexpected occurred. Within 30 minutes, Daniel's damaged cellular structures began rebuilding themselves.
Broken DNA strands reconnected. Damaged tissue regenerated. Aged cells transformed, becoming young and robust again.
The medical team watched in stunned silence. Jay's hands trembled as he checked and rechecked the monitoring systems.
"This can't be happening," he whispered. But it was happening. Daniel was healing at an impossible rate. By the end of the first hour, Daniel looked decades younger.
His terminal genetic condition had completely reversed. Where medical science had predicted certain death, Yuna's nanotechnology had created a miracle.
News traveled quickly through the research facility. What seemed like science fiction was now scientific reality.
Humanity had discovered a method to not just halt genetic decay, but to completely reverse it.
More volunteers stepped forward for testing. Each trial produced similar results.
People with advanced genetic diseases, terminal conditions, and age-related deterioration experienced complete cellular restoration.
The implications were staggering. Global medical authorities initially remained skeptical.
Such a breakthrough seemed too extraordinary to be true.
They demanded rigorous testing, multiple independent verifications, and comprehensive safety assessments. Yuna understood their caution.
Her team continued refining the nanotechnology, ensuring its stability and predictability.
They knew that one small mistake could transform their miracle cure into a potential global threat. The nanosolution worked by identifying damaged genetic sequences and systematically rebuilding them using adaptive technological components. It didn't just repair, it reconstructed, using the body's original genetic blueprint as a perfect reference point. Within months, successful human trials expanded.
The technology moved from experimental to potentially transformative.
Governments and medical institutions worldwide began requesting detailed research documentation.
International scientific conferences discussed the breakthrough.
Some researchers celebrated. Others expressed deep concern about potential long-term consequences.
No one had ever created technology capable of completely reversing genetic decay.
Yuna remained focused.
Her goal wasn't fame or recognition. She wanted to save humanity from its mysterious genetic crisis. Each successful trial brought them closer to understanding the broader implications of their discovery.
The nanotechnology represented more than a medical breakthrough. It was a fundamental reimagining of human biological limitations.
Aging, genetic diseases, and cellular deterioration could now be considered solvable problems.
As global interest grew, so did the potential applications.
Beyond medical treatment, the technology hinted at possibilities that seemed like pure science fiction just months earlier.
Humanity stood on the edge of a biological revolution. Daniel Park, the first successful test subject, became a symbol of hope. His miraculous recovery demonstrated that what seemed impossible could become reality through human innovation and determination. Yuna knew their work was just beginning.
The nanotechnology needed extensive research, global implementation strategies, and careful ethical considerations.
But for the first time in years, humanity had a real chance of survival.
The breakthrough had arrived. And nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Council chamber grew silent as the human representatives entered. Holographic displays flickered with data about humanity's recent technological breakthrough. Alien delegates from various star systems watched with a mixture of fear and growing concern. Representatives from the Orion Collective, a federation of advanced alien civilizations, had been monitoring human development for centuries. They had always viewed humans as a primitive, potentially dangerous species. Now, everything had changed. Una stood beside the human diplomatic team, her scientific credentials giving her a unique position. The nanoregenerative technology had spread rapidly across Earth, transforming human society in ways no one could have predicted. "You do not understand the consequences of your actions," spoke Krell, the senior representative of the Orion Collective. His translucent skin shifted colors, a sign of deep agitation among his species. "Biological immortality disrupts the natural order of galactic evolution." The human ambassador, a seasoned diplomat named Michael Rodriguez, remained calm. "We're not seeking conflict. We're ensuring our species' survival." Alien intelligence networks had been tracking humanity's progress. The nanotechnology wasn't just a medical breakthrough, it was a fundamental transformation of human biological potential. Humans were no longer a species that could be controlled or marginalized. Behind the diplomatic tensions, something more significant was happening. Human technology was advancing at an exponential rate. What began as a medical solution was quickly becoming a platform for complete biological redesign. The Orion Collective had a long-standing policy of limiting technological development among younger species. They believed uncontrolled technological growth could destabilize galactic ecosystems. Humans were proving to be their most challenging exception. J. Kim, now a lead researcher in advanced biotechnology, had been analyzing potential interstellar applications of their nanotechnology. Early experiments suggested humans could potentially adapt to environments previously considered uninhabitable. Alien surveillance systems detected rapid changes. Human genetic structures were becoming more flexible, more adaptable. The nanotechnology wasn't just repairing, it was evolving human biological potential. "We cannot allow this to continue," Krell announced. The Orion Collective began discussing potential interventions. Economic sanctions. Technological embargoes. In extreme scenarios, direct military containment. But humans had already anticipated potential resistance. Their own technological infrastructure had been rapidly developing defensive capabilities. The nanotechnology provided unprecedented biological resilience. Military strategists on Earth were integrating the new biotechnology into defensive systems. Soldiers could now heal from injuries that would have been fatal. Human physical capabilities were expanding beyond previous limitations. The galactic community watched with growing unease. Humans were transforming from a species considered technologically primitive to a potential major power. Their rate of advancement was unprecedented in recorded galactic history. Una understood the broader implications. This wasn't just about medical technology. It was about human potential, the ability to adapt, to survive, to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. The Orion Collective's internal communications revealed deep fractures. Some members saw humans as a potential threat. Others recognized the extraordinary potential of human innovation. Diplomatic channels became increasingly tense. Economic trade routes began shifting. Alien civilizations that had previously ignored humans now paid careful attention to every technological development. Michael Rodriguez delivered a clear message to the Galactic Council. "Humanity seeks cooperation, not conflict. But we will defend our right to scientific advancement." The nanotechnology had become more than a medical solution. It was a statement of human resilience. A declaration that their species would not be controlled or limited by external forces. As the diplomatic discussions continued, one thing became clear: humanity was no longer asking for permission to exist. They were declaring their right to evolve, to grow, to explore the universe on their own terms. The galaxy would never be the same again. The world transformed quietly, without dramatic announcements or sudden global events. Humans began changing from within, their bodies becoming something more than traditional biological structures.
Scientists discovered that the nanotechnology wasn't just repairing genetic damage, it was actively improving human capabilities. People could now heal instantaneously from injuries. Muscle regeneration happened within minutes. Brain neural connections became faster and more complex. Yuna watched as the first generation of deliberately enhanced humans emerged.
They looked normal on the outside, but their internal systems operated with extraordinary efficiency.
A cut would seal instantly.
Broken bones would reconstruct themselves within hours.
Cognitive processing speed increased exponentially.
Military research teams were particularly interested.
Soldiers could now survive environments previously considered fatal.
Extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheres, high radiation zones became navigable.
Human physical limitations were dissolving like morning mist. The transformation wasn't just physical. Humans developed enhanced sensory perceptions. Some individuals could detect electromagnetic frequencies. Others showed increased thermal sensitivity. Neural networks within their brains created complex communication pathways previously unexplored. Global society began adapting. Medical institutions restructured. Insurance companies redefined risk assessment.
Economic systems started calculating human potential differently.
A worker who could work continuously without physical breakdown represented unprecedented economic value. Governments worldwide implemented careful monitoring programs.
They needed to understand the long-term implications of this biological revolution.
Each enhanced human represented a potential breakthrough and a potential risk. J. Kim's research team discovered something even more remarkable.
The nanotechnology was learning.
It wasn't just a static medical solution, it was an adaptive system that continued improving itself.
Each generation of humans became slightly more advanced than the previous one. Alien observation systems detected these changes.
The Orion Collective's worst fears were being realized. Humans were no longer a species that could be predicted or controlled. They were becoming something entirely new.
Psychological changes accompanied physical transformations. Enhanced humans demonstrated increased empathy, complex problem-solving skills, and remarkable emotional intelligence. The nanotechnology seemed to be optimizing not just physical capabilities, but mental frameworks. Some religious and philosophical groups saw this as the next stage of human evolution. Others feared losing traditional human characteristics. Debates raged about the ethical implications of deliberate biological enhancement. Space exploration programs saw immediate opportunities. Humans could now potentially survive long-duration missions with minimal life support systems. The dream of interstellar travel was moving from science fiction to practical possibility. Yuna understood they were witnessing something extraordinary. Humanity was rewriting its own biological constraints. No longer bound by previous evolutionary limitations, humans were becoming architects of their own genetic future. The first generation of deliberately enhanced children began appearing. They showed capabilities that seemed almost supernatural by previous standards. Learning happened at accelerated rates. Physical coordination was perfect. Immune systems functioned with extraordinary complexity. Economic systems began restructuring. Traditional concepts of disability disappeared. Age became a flexible concept rather than a limiting factor. Humans could potentially maintain peak physical and mental capabilities indefinitely. Global cultural shifts occurred gradually. Enhanced humans didn't see themselves as superior, but as part of a continuous evolutionary process. Cooperation, not competition, became the primary social mechanism. Research continued expanding. Each breakthrough revealed new possibilities. The line between biological organism and technological system became increasingly blurred. Humans were creating themselves anew, step by careful step. The transformation wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about potential. About reimagining what it meant to be human in a vast, complex universe. As the first generation of enhanced humans looked toward the stars, one thing became clear: humanity's greatest journey was just beginning. The universe would soon discover what humans were truly capable of becoming. The first interstellar human fleet prepared for launch, representing humanity's most ambitious moment. Massive ships gleamed with technology that blended biological systems and advanced engineering, unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed.
Una stood on the primary launch platform, watching generations of scientific achievement culminate in this single moment. The ships weren't just transportation vessels.
They were living ecosystems designed to travel across impossible distances. Each ship contained thousands of enhanced humans, their bodies capable of surviving extreme conditions. Radiation, temperature variations, and cosmic radiation meant nothing to their redesigned biological structures. Where previous space missions required elaborate life support, these humans could essentially adapt to any environment.
The Orion Collective watched with a mixture of fear and reluctant admiration.
Humanity had transformed from a species they once considered insignificant to a potential galactic power capable of rewriting fundamental rules of existence.
J. Kim's final technological integration had made these ships possible. Nanoregenerative systems were now fully integrated into ship structures, allowing continuous self-repair and adaptation.
The vessels were essentially living organisms, responsive and intelligent.
Launch preparations happened with mathematical precision.
Computer systems, now deeply integrated with human neural networks, calculated trajectories that would have been impossible mere decades earlier. Each crew member was simultaneously a biological entity and a technological marvel. The primary destination was a star system 87 light-years away, a region previously considered uninhabitable.
Human enhancement meant traditional limitations of space travel no longer applied.
Where generation ships would have taken centuries, these enhanced humans could potentially survive and adapt instantly.
Mission objectives went beyond exploration. These humans were potential colonizers, transformers, creators of new evolutionary pathways.
They carried within them the capacity to reshape entire planetary ecosystems, to adapt and survive where no previous species could.
Communication systems demonstrated extraordinary capabilities. Neuralink technology meant crew members could share experiences, thoughts, and sensory information instantaneously. Distance became a fluid concept rather than a barrier. Global celebrations marked this moment.
Billions watched as humanity's most advanced representatives prepared to expand beyond Earth's boundaries.
This wasn't just a space mission, it was a declaration of human potential.
Inside the primary vessel, crew members represented humanity's diverse genetic potential. Scientists, engineers, biologists, and explorers had been carefully selected.
Each individual carried enhanced capabilities that made traditional astronaut training obsolete. Una reflected on their journey.
From a species facing potential extinction to galactic pioneers, humans had transformed themselves through determination, scientific innovation, and an unyielding spirit of exploration.
The launch sequence began.
Massive electromagnetic propulsion systems activated, creating energy fields that defied traditional physics. The ships moved with a grace that seemed almost organic, blending technological precision with biological fluidity.
As vessels disappeared into the cosmic darkness, something profound happened. Humanity was no longer confined to a single planet, a single evolutionary pathway.
They had become a species of infinite potential. The Orion Collective's monitoring systems tracked the human fleet's impossible trajectory.
Traditional galactic laws of technological development had been completely rewritten. Humans had transformed from observers to active architects of their evolutionary journey.
Communication signals from the ships revealed extraordinary initial discoveries.
Adaptive systems were already mapping potential colonization zones. Biological reconstruction technologies could potentially transform hostile planetary environments into habitable zones. J's final transmission captured the mission spirit: we are not just exploring space. We are expanding the definition of what it means to be alive.
Years of scientific struggle, political negotiations, and technological breakthroughs had led to this moment. Humanity stood at the threshold of a new existence, ready to write its story across the infinite canvas of the universe. The ships carried more than human passengers. They carried hope, potential, and the collective dream of a species that had chosen to defy its own limitations. As stars rushed past their adaptive hulls, these vessels represented humanity's most profound statement: survival was not enough. Evolution was a continuous, unstoppable journey.
The infinite horizon awaited.